What up, Chiefs Kingdom, and welcome to the Arrowhead Kingdom Chiefs Cast Show. Big reminder that all Chiefs fans are invited to join us for game day. Visit arrowheadkingdom.org to learn more about the group and to find your local chapter. Also, please make sure to like, share, and subscribe to our channel, which is, of course, presented as always by Complete Weddings and Events, your leading provider of photo, video, DJ, photo booth, lighting, and coordination services. Visit them at completewedo.com. All right, y'all, we're back for a second week in a row to keep this season going. And I say season because we're technically kind of in a season at this point, even if it is just a preseason. So we had our first preseason game, which was this last weekend. The Chiefs did lose this one in New Orleans to the Saints 24-26. So here's the big first most important question. Do we care about that final score at all? Brian, what do you think?
Well, okay, so I always find out preseason games, especially when it comes to the Chiefs. It's like always when we get the W, I'm like, yeah, that's awesome. I'm all about it. But when we have an L in preseason games, I'm like, whatever. So it depends on what happens. I find I'm not exactly consistent when it comes to that. So, but at the end of the day, we see a bunch of players out there who obviously the energy is not the same as a regular season game. It's not. It's a lot of people competing for positions. It's a lot of people playing their guts out the best they can, but it's not the same kind of energy that we're looking for in terms of a regular season game. But do I care? Here's what I care about. I care about what kind of performances we're making, what kind of improvement we're going to be making, how we adjust right now when we're down 17-0. How are we adjusting to stuff like that? I'm looking at that kind of thing. What kind of improvements are we making? Of course, I always like to see a W happen. Of course, I'm like any other fan out there. However, we saw some nice things in the improvement category, and that's what I wanted to see.
Okay, so I heard that you care if they win, you don't if they lose, so you don't care about the game. Got it.
That's what you took away from that.
Yeah.
That is what you took away from that amazing breakdown.
that among other things. Anyway, no, good stuff. I'm pretty much on the same page as you. You know, I look for certain things, and we'll get into any things that we noticed here shortly. Dwayne, what were your thoughts overall? Are you concerned about the final score?
Well, actually, yes, I am. I'm always concerned about the score because the homer, the fan in me wants us to win every game, not lose anything. But just like Brian said, you're looking at schemes. You're looking at the way the offense is gelling. I was mainly concerned with Richie James, who thoroughly impressed me. Justin Ross really impressed me, but I'm a little scared on Justin, but Justin Ross really impressed me, and just to watch the defense. I had some concerns with Trent McDuffie. He didn't look like Trent of last season, and I mean, he's probably just getting back into the groove of things. But what was really concerning me is how's this defense going to look without Chris Jones? And I know we're going to get into that later on, but so I was just really looking at schemes, and overall, I was disappointed in Blaine Gabbert. I thought that he would play a little bit better than that for an experienced vet coming in as QB2. I feel like, I'm willing to see what he has this week coming up against Arizona, but I really think it's clear cut that Shane Buechele is QB2, in my opinion.
Yeah, so I'm looking at the line. It looks like Gabbert was 4 for 8 for 59 yards. He had a 114.1 rating, and I thought I understood the math of how that was calculated, but seeing that line and that rating doesn't necessarily line up with my logic. So
It was all that one touchdown where he was like running around in the backfield and
yeah,
connecting
exactly,
that one.
exactly.
The
So
shimmy
he
move.
he apparently got extra points for that. Maybe this
Yeah.
is an extra credit situation, and we weren't aware about those.
Apparently, like Mahomesian style like play to get you
Yeah,
extra points on those things.
but
So
no, Bichelle, some of the word on the street is there seemed to be a pretty set quarterback depth chart. Mahomes, Gabbert, Bichelle, that Oladokun, Chris Oladokun, who closed the game out. I don't think he had a whole lot of shot to make the team before this game, and I don't think he helped himself either, giving up that interception to end the game. But
the interception was just like, okay, so I when I was rewatching the game just now, right before we hopped on here, and I was looking at Leducan, I gotta say, like he was like when he was scrambling and getting the major yardage there, moving the ball down the field. It was actually I was enjoying watching this kind of these quarterbacks play against each other in terms of, you know, who's going to be the backup QB and everything. And I got to say, I enjoyed what he was doing given the situation or the circumstance he was in. And that final, obviously, the interception at the very end, that was like, how often do we see interceptions like that? Obviously, it's a mistake we cannot happen that gives that puts the game in a scoring position for that play. But obviously, you know, it's a learning situation for him. But you know, I got to say, I was enjoying how he was doing things. I agree with Dwayne that you know, Gabbert, I was enjoying to see like Gabbert and Bouchette, how they were going back and forth in terms of like, what is that QB2 spot going to look like? And so, you know, I mean, there were some pretty impressive throws and catches out there. But, you know, I remember thinking the first couple of drives too, I was just like, what is that player going to be? And obviously we're talking about the backup quarterback. And I'm trying to remember all the times where I was thinking about Ched Henne. How many times, like, was there like, remember that Browns game in the postseason where I'm just the edge of my seat the whole time? Like, because we're so used to watching Mahomes do his magic. And we're just like, so that's like, who's going to fill that role? So far, I'd like to see, I'll be curious to see what the next game looks like. I do enjoy like the battle that they're going through right now.
Yeah, I think that if they had to put a backup in right now, Bichelle would probably be the guy. So let's hope we don't have to run into that. Okay, so question for both of you. I'm assuming you've looked at the box score. Do you know who the leading receiver was? Okay, so with 4 catches for 71 yards, it was Nico Remigio. So Nico Remigio caught balls from Bichelle and our 4th string pass catcher or pass thrower Oladokun. And so, yeah, he definitely made an impression, and we're going to talk about injuries a little later here too. That might be an unfortunate situation where he had a shot, but you know, the one Richie James was the name that I think everybody kind of jumped on that Dwayne mentioned. He looked good. He looked comfortable. He looked like a guy that's going to make the team and be a contributor. So, you know, definitely impressed with that one. And then, of course, you got Justin Ross catching the 15-yard touchdown pass. I think that's really what everybody who's been following him and following the team through the preseason's been looking for, was that specific one. Was there any play on either side of the ball, Dwayne, that jumped out at you more than anything else? Like a specific play that made you think, hey, this is a huge problem, or, you know, hey, we might actually have something here?
Well, the deep pass play that Bouchelle threw to Richie James, and what I saw out of Richie, I saw speed that I didn't realize that Richie actually had, and I was like, you know, because they never really talk about the guy's speed, and I think his 40 time is like a 4.4, but his down the field speed really grabbed me by surprise, and it kind of gave me the nostalgia of Tyreek Hill, knowing that he's not as fast as Tyreek by no means, but it kind of really looked like that. And then he was real shifty, like Kadarius Toney was shifty last season when he came in. So that jumped out to me. I was like, wow, good move, Andy. You got some great guys from New York, from the New York Jets wide receiver room that obviously are going to be big contributors here. But like I said, my only thing that didn't, the coverage of Trent McDuffie, I don't know if he was just having an off game to me or whatever, but he made a few good plays. But other than that, he just seemed gassed. He seemed a little bit like he was kind of out of shape. And that is a good thing, a good problem to have, because in the next 2 weeks, McDuff could be back to the form that he was last season, really moving and gunning. I was impressed with what's his name, Jalen Watson. I was impressed with him, and I thought that he did well.
Yeah, Brian, anything jump out at you?
Well, kind of a remember when we played the Eagles in the Super Bowl and they had that quarterback sneak play? It's like they lined up in that thing, and it seemed like it always worked. Right? What was that called?
The rugby scrum.
The rugby scrum. And it was like I remember watching that, like that's always working, and I'm like just like pulling my hair out of my head, like, oh god, here it comes again and again, and it's very impressive how they executed that. And so like Chiefs kind of struggled from short yardage situations, and I was thinking about that, the 3rd and 1, using this quarterback sneak strategy. So I'm curious about that, like how they're going to be handling those situations, like short yardages. And obviously it's different when we have kind of our different offensive scheme that we have in the field, who's not who we're used to seeing. But just so that's something that jumped out at me. Also, kickoff returns, less than ideal kind of starting field position, the kickoff returns. I didn't know this. There's a new rule where you can fair catch it?
Yes, that's really weird. I was looking at that too, Brian. That was strange to me. I'm really trying to find that new kickoff rule and kind of delve into that, because that did look a little weird to me.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I mean, yeah, it seemed weird to me too. I was like, well, I'm just so used to the kicker kicking it through the back of the end zone anyway. It usually starts in the 20. I mean, how often do we see that kind of thing? But maybe as they start, like, if they try to start kicking into like within the 5-yard territory, like if they're going to start trying to use that fair catch kind of maneuver, maybe it's one of those player safety things, right? Where like obviously a lot of injuries happen on those situations where you have these huge human beings running at each other full speed. So maybe it's just trying to prevent that kind of thing from happening. But be that as it may, you got to figure out what their starting position is going to be, and if it's got to be in the 20 or 25, figure that out.
Yeah, the thing that I think is most unfortunate anytime you watch that is that we're just so far from the days of X Factor and Devin Hester, and I don't know that we ever get that back. On the kickoffs, that's just kind of a bygone era.
Is that back-to-back kickoff returns? What I recall? Did I recall that correctly? I remember seeing a whole bunch of kickoff returns that year.
Well,
I think we were seeing a lot.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Devin Hester, he had something like 15 career return touchdowns. It was wild.
Outstanding.
Wild. Yeah. I mean, that's like a Hall of Famer special teams, player and stuff. But yeah. No, so there were a couple of plays that really jumped out at me. The first one on the first series, couple of things that I noticed. Derek Carr looked really good in that Saints offense. Derek Carr
I have to admit that, but you're right.
Yeah, Derek Carr looked really good. Alvin Kamara looked, dangerous. Michael Thomas looked like he actually wanted to be out on a field playing. That was really interesting. So my favorite play of that entire game was that first series. They had it was roughly 1st and goal, and the first play on however many yards they were out, Derek Carr threw a fade to the left side to Michael Thomas, and Joshua Williams played defense. And I mean, that video is what you would show a high school kid trying to learn how to play cornerback.
Yes.
I mean, you saw him stride for stride. He was looking, the receiver looks up, he turns around, looks up, and just bam, like volleyball spike out to about the 10-yard line. So that was my favorite one. So McDuffie looked off. Williams looked the deal on that one. So
Williams is definitely the deal. I love Josh Williams, small school guy from Fayetteville State. And if you've ever seen that campus, I mean, the field that he played on in college is worse than any high school field I've ever seen in my life. So that guy, he's kind of like that underdog that you root for.
Yeah, got it. But yeah, the other thing that I just noticed, the first series, and actually the first 2 series, they ran the offense through Clyde Edwards-Helaire. So one of 3 things has to be true. Either he's going to feature in this offense, they're trying to pump him up so they can trade him, or it doesn't mean anything. And one of those 3 things has to be true. I'm not really sure which one it is, but I'm leaning first towards number 3. But then after that, I'm kind of leaning on number 1. Like, would it really be the craziest thing if he came out as our lead back with Pacheco kind of banged up? Would it make sense to just have him come out as a lead back? That might actually be what happens.
Absolutely, Josh. I feel that's definitely what Andy Reid is going to do, because he's going to probably, I don't think that Edwards-Helaire has trade value. So let's feature him in this offense. Let's let him, split time with Pacheco. Pacheco is our guy. He's our running back. Uh, let's let him go ahead and run. Let's showcase him as a compliment back, and he'll, if we can get another ring with him this year in Vegas, he can write his check elsewhere. But he'll definitely. This is, contract year is undefeated, and that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking Edwards-Helaire, it's going to surprise us in a great way. I think he's going to be a very explosive player.
Yeah, I don't think there's a Chiefs fan in the world that would be upset if that ended up happening. We've all been kind of waiting for it to happen. I think he's the guy that everybody's rooting for, you know?
Yeah.
And
I want to see it.
Yeah, we want to see it. Okay, so I think the big question that everybody in the national media keeps throwing out that we should probably answer: does this whole situation change your thoughts on the Chris Jones situation at all? Does this make you think that we should be having more urgency, as in Veach should be having more urgency? Should they be more willing to pay what he's asking for? Did that game change your thoughts on that situation at all?
Yes, it changed my thoughts. It showed me that 95 is really needed in the kingdom, but I'm a big believer of patterns, and I watch. I've been really obsessed with studying Brett Veach's pattern. I think we all have, and the thing is, I believe that if Chris is forcing a trade, he will get more than $30 million wherever he lands. I think $30 million is the discount that he's given us, but I believe that he's a $40 million a year defensive tackle elsewhere. But my biggest question is, what's the return value? I know Veach can get 2 first-round picks, but that's a lot to put on Nandi's shoulders and Keandre Corbin. I have a hard time pronouncing his last name.
Coburn.
So it puts you in that situation, and I get Veach. Veach is the next man up. Let's go. And without Chris Jones, I think the linebacker crew can make up for the inexperience of the D line, because with missing that big hole of 95, then all the pressure goes toward Tranquil. Nick Bolton would actually become the true leader of the defense, and it would all have to, revolve around him, and he would have to kind of play a Ray Lewis, Derek Johnson type of role, and just kind of keep that, just quarterback that defense from that middle linebacker position. And I think Nick Bolton can. I mean, I think Nick Bolton's a top 5 linebacker, and this is the type of season that could really be a breakout season for him, with or without Chris Jones.
Yeah, Brian, any thoughts to add to that?
I think Chris Jones, did he tweet something along the lines of like, I think he was it something like
he tweets so much weird stuff these days. I don't even.
It's like, hey y'all, I have 1 year left of my contract. Let's just let's have some fun, all right? And like, okay, I get you there. And obviously we got to figure that out. My mindset goes to this, because for how many times in the last few years has the narrative been in the first 6 or 7 games with Spags defenses? It's just like everywhere you go, like they need to find their footing, and the first kind of quarter and a half of the first of this last game there's like people need to find the routine and everything. And so, and I mean, even in the last years where we were like in the AFC Championship games, I remember like when we're having a rough spell defensively, and I was at the gas station with another guy who loves the Chiefs or whatever. This is like the guy, the cashier. He's like, fire Spags, right? I'm like, I just let's calm down on that.
Yes,
right?
now in the middle of the playoffs. Let's
we're not the middle of the playoffs. It was just like middle season or whatever. So everyone's just like quick to just go after that. And kind of get it because it gets kind of frustrating when those first kind of those first third of the games or whatever. So that being said, when you take out such a talent of Chris Jones from a very delicate defensive situation, yeah, that makes my gray hairs grow a little bit and gives me some stress. I think Dwayne is right. We're dealing with top level talented players here who can figure out how to make up what they need to make up. But as we become accustomed the last few years of like how delicate the defense can be, especially in the early going, and removing such a productive player like Chris Jones, I shake my head. I'm like, can we please figure something out? Obviously, I want what's best for Chris Jones. If you got to get paid, go get paid. I gotcha. I would like for that to be in Kansas City in an acceptable way. If not, figure it out. But removing such a talent just gives me anxiety.
Yeah, I think the thing that makes me most anxious is every day that this just keeps going. I think what I want more than anything is resolution, and it's either give him the number and move on, or let's look at what moving on actually looks like. And if it's playing this season out, I don't see a world where they don't tag Jones just to take up the trade value, right? Mm-hmm. So I just don't want this to get any more uncomfortable than it is. And in fairness, this might not actually be uncomfortable to the Chiefs front office or Chris Jones. We don't know that, but it's uncomfortable to watch. And
yes,
when you have defensive performances like this first preseason game, it makes it a little more uncomfortable to watch. So resolution's what I want. Jones is millions of dollars into missing camp fines, so that can't be making things better.
And you know what? Just to add there, I know it's been uncomfortable, and we've been seeing all types of crazy into I can't even talk tonight. But at the same thing, like there's even rumors out there that he's trying to go to Denver, and I saw that online. I was like, I thought about his buddy Frank Clark, and I thought about how he was rallying for Frank to come back, and I'm thinking it could be a long shot, guys. But I'm like, is this part of his play for him to hold out and want more money to force the trade? Because it just doesn't make sense. You have one more year left on your contract to play, and it just seems like it seems like he would be a guy that says, hey, I'm going to go in there and do my best and set the market up in the free agency. Whether you guys can afford me or not, somebody's going to pay me what I want. But I'm just going to get myself in. And it seems like he was going to do it. But it's, from the SBs to all of these events that he showed up as a team player, I am inclined to wonder, does the Frank Clark deal has anything to do with this? Because they're like really, really close friends in real life. And you shouldn't, personally, as a business guy, and you guys are business-minded professionals too, you really shouldn't value your career like that on friendship. But we're talking a camaraderie, brotherhood, football players, athletes. So I don't know. What do you guys think about that?
There was a thing about him liking a tweet about somebody saying he looked good in black and gold. The Broncos created thing about him potentially going over there. I don't think there's anything real in either of those. If Jones isn't going to be playing for the Chiefs, I have a hard time seeing the Chiefs trade him anywhere that's not an NFC team. We'll start with that. We talked about over the cap last week. So right now, the Cardinals have 24 million. The Cowboys have 19.6. The Panthers have 19.6. Bengals 19.6. Lions 19.5. Colts 19.1. So wow. I think that's the list of teams that could logically figure out a way to fit. So let's kind of backtrack here. he could be traded to really anybody that's got probably 10 million in cap space available. They could easily do it and do the cap magic and make the money work for this year by paying bonuses up front and everything and spreading it across the deal. So that's probably not fair to say that, but those would be the NFC teams that would be ready right now to take him on. There's definitely more in the NFC than the AFC, and I don't see Kansas City letting him play for a rival. He can want to go to Denver as much as he wants. If that's his play, he's going to be in Kansas City for 3 more years.
Yeah,
he's gonna get the double tag.
right.
He'll get double tag just to stop that. He is not going to Denver or Oakland. Vegas.
Oh, yeah,
He's not going there.
I would surely hate that. But if let's play devil's advocate here. If
Sure.
Veach did that, how would you feel about Brett Veach as a GM if he sent him over to Denver for 2 first-round picks, the first round in 24 and the first round in 25, and didn't even throw a player in that situation, just got those 2 first-round picks? How would you guys feel about that?
No, I'd feel horrible if it was 2, because 2's the sign him off the franchise tag.
Right.
So it would have to be 3 for me to potentially be able to see something like this. But so gut reaction as you were asking that question, give us 5 first rounds, you can go play wherever you want. And five first rounds, you can go play wherever you want. So that's where my sensibilities would be. I don't see
my reaction was, yeah, I'm sorry, Josh, go ahead. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say I don't see anybody paying that for a defensive tackle. So
all I can think about, Dwayne, while you're talking about how would I feel about as a general manager, and I'm like, it doesn't matter how Dwayne finishes the sentence, I'll be like, still better than Scott Pioli. So.
There you go.
Still better than Scott Pioli, right? Oh man, Scott Pioli, those were the dark days.
Right, remember that?
Yeah. Wow, blackout games. We know.
Yeah, that was. Yeah. I remember those days. I'm glad to not think about those right now. Sorry, I'm sorry to bring it up, everybody. I should not have brought it up.
Yeah, he's okay. Voldemort. Okay,
Okay,
can't say his name.
Voldemort.
So he's the Voldemort of general managers.
Oh, yes, he is.
Got it. Yeah. So now I just go back to, I want resolution. I'm still in the same spot that I think I was when we talked about this last week, where he's going to play this year for Kansas City. He might not show up until right before the first game, at which point everybody, including the coaching staff, will welcome back with open arms, and he'll play the last year, and then it's potentially going to get uglier. And that's the part that I think that sucks, is I don't like the prognosis of it getting ugly with a guy who's a team legend, and
right.
And there should just be a level of transparency. But at the same time, if Jones is saying, pay me $35 million a year, or trade me to the Broncos, you know what? You're raking your own name through the mud at that point there. And, Veach needs to stand his ground, and that's it.
What do y'all think is the worst, that top of your head? Like, what is the worst, that kind of situation where a star player or a notable player goes to like the rival? I immediately go to Brett Favre and the Vikings personally, but
yeah, I was thinking the same thing, Brian. I mean,
living in Wisconsin when that happened, yeah,
yeah, that's exactly how I would feel if I saw Brett Veach in a Denver Broncos uniform jumping around. I'm like, yeah.
Well, so here's what I remember. So I moved to Milwaukee in 2008, and that was Favre's first season in New York. So I moved here as that whole thing was materializing, and my boss, obviously a huge Badger, Packer fan, all that stuff. And I remember talking to him and just saying, so it's looking like Favre's going to be leaving town, and he's like, yeah, it's horrible. I don't even want to think about that. And I said, well, I mean, it looks like he's going to go somewhere like the the New York Jets. I mean, how would you feel about that? And he's like, oh, I mean, if he's got to be gone, I guess, that makes sense. And I'm like, yeah, well, or what if he decides to be a free agent and go to the Vikings or something? He's stone faced. He's like, oh, I'd be pissed. And then like 2 seasons later, that's how that whole thing happened. He went to the Jets. When he went to the Jets, the number of people that I saw wearing Jet jerseys around Milwaukee was staggering. Like everybody was okay with that. When he went to the Vikings, this was when that turned into the real ugly divorce, because going through it just seemed like a divorce where half the fans were on Ted Thompson's side, knowing that he was trying to get Aaron Rodgers and that you had to do something with Aaron Rodgers or trade him. And then there was another half that was sitting there going, Brett Favre can play as long as he wants to for what he's done for this team and everything in the state, and he can hold out until the last minute. He can change his mind a million times, and it was literally people picking parents in a divorce. Watching it, and then
pretty ugly.
And then he ended up on the Vikings, and I think everybody was just pretty not cool with that. And then you see the Vikings almost go to a Super Bowl with Brett Favre, and then
through a snowball. The shirt that says "We'll never forget you, Brent." Remember that one?
Yeah. So yeah, I mean that I think you're pretty spot on with the biggest going to a rival. Brett Favre in a Vikings purple 4 was
that's the GOAT of that situation.
Yeah, it was surreal, and it still doesn't feel real, now. Like I don't think I could look at that picture and believe that it wasn't photoshopped.
Right.
But see, now if we have that same thing, guys, let's say before the season starts, it's a shocker, and Adam Schefter announces that the Chiefs have traded Chris Jones to the Denver Broncos, and he ends our sweep streak against the Broncos by going 1-1 with us. Would he not become that same brutal divorce antagonist enemy that Brett Favre became when he went over to the Vikings? How many people in the kingdom would hate that?
No, I think the vast majority. Yeah.
Including me, you, and all of us. Oh,
yeah, I think the best thing that he would get is, well, there's the business side and stuff. No, that would be bad. I mean, Veach can't trade him directly there, but let's say that he trades him to like the Chicago Bears, and they clean out their front office in the off season, which is highly possible because they do that every couple years anyway, where they just clean house in the entire organization, and they decide to start trading off their big contracts. In that situation, he makes it out to Denver or Vegas or something like that. I'd still be pretty mad. I'm kind of going back to, I'd be pissed. Just stone faced, I'd be pissed.
I can only speak for myself on that one, and I mean, it make me. I would be I don't know if piss is the right word. I'd be like put off by it, but I really can't bring myself to. I really can't bring myself to be like upset at the man of like, he after all the great stuff he delivered to us, all the sacks and all the getting us to the promised land and doing his role there. It's just like I really am a focus on the good times kind of person. So I would be, but yeah, it doesn't make the watching the game, like if he abruptly stops one of our runs or in our seasons or whatever, obviously that might change my mindset in the moment. But I do kind of have like this game is, as I get older, and the more I realize just how tough this game is, how ridiculously talented and athletic, and how violent this game is, and how people need to, especially when you're getting hit by such huge human beings and you need to get paid what you got to get paid. And if that's where they're paying you, then go get it. But so that does kind of take over my mindset a little bit. But yeah, I think I would be more on the upset side, but I get it.
Yeah, I definitely think that the 2 Super Bowls and the amount of time that he's been with the team would help with perspective, but I'd have a season of pretty uncorked rage, and I don't even know a better way to put it than that. But all right, well, hopefully, this is just another week of talking nonsense, and all this is going to be stuff we can look back at and laugh. But we'll see.
Hopefully it doesn't turn true. That's
every day that this goes, though, it's just Resolution's what I want.
Me too.
Resolution's what I want.
All right, I like it.
All right. So next thing, Chiefs had some injuries come up here this week. So Justin Ross was carted off this week with what sounds like not that big of a deal of a hamstring injury. Jody Fortson's on the IR, and he's done for the season with a shoulder surgery. Nico Remigio and Mir Smith Marset both also went to the injury tent as well, and it's looking like Remigio has a separated shoulder and a good chance to start the season on the IR. So any thoughts by that list that I threw out, aside from I wish there was fewer names on it? Dwayne, what are some of the conclusions or just thought processes that you're going through?
The thought processes, I think, is going to be great for Nico Remigio. I have a hard time saying his name too. I think it's going to be good for him because I think he's going to travel the Justin Ross path, travel the Travis Kelce path, and I think that Reed likes him, and I think that he's just going to, keep him on IR and med pay him just to keep him on the team, and then next season he'll end up making the 53 active roster. But what scared me is Justin Ross, because I've been pulling for Justin Ross. I've been a fan of his since Clemson. The guy is a dog. He's a freak of nature. But when he got carted off to the injury tent, I couldn't help but say, damn, again. But I'm reading that it's not that bad. So I'm remiss that I think that we're going to see a little less of Justin Ross just because Reed likes him so much. So he's going to kind of, in these next two preseason games, we might see very little action of Justin Ross, and that's fine. I like the development of Rashee Rice. I've been a fan of his at SMU. That it's something about that Pony Express with Eric Dickerson and those guys that come out of SMU. Those are some like that might be a steal of a draft pick. Like I could see him turning into a Jamar Chase this season alone. I could see him emerging as that rookie wide receiver. Like, wow, the Chiefs found their guy, But I've been riding solid with MVS just because he's truly our solid one wide receiver one, whether we want to claim it or not. He's our guy. After we got rid of Jew, we knew that, hey, it's him. He's coming back with the most experience, the most yards. So he's your true wide receiver one for now in the room. But I do look for guys like a healthy Ross or a healthy Rashee Rice. But yeah, the Jody Forston, unfortunate, but we've had him on IR before. We've kept him around. Reed likes him. Reed has kept him paid through all of this stuff, from practice squad to active roster to injury reserve, everything. But I believe that after this season on IR, I think it's over for Jody Forston. I think he'll end up retiring. I just can't see him. I mean, if he continues, maybe, just maybe, somebody gives him a look somewhere else. But I think his days at Kansas City are done. So, but I really enjoyed him. I thought the guy was a great hustler, and he could really play. He could really play, But that, by him going on IR and Nico, two more guys are going to make the roster, and I really think that 7 wide receivers are going to be carried this year versus 6, because we're only going to carry 3 tight ends. And then I got a feeling that they're going to use the Belldozer more in the fullback role, even though he's listed tight end, but kind of that tight end fullback role, because he's good for blocking. And he's big and he's strong, and I think that he's going to help our run game big time.
Yeah, I don't see us signing a fullback. Wrote an article for Arrowhead One a couple weeks ago where I made up this crime novel where they broke into the Chiefs front office, and Andy Reid and Clark Hunt broke into the 49ers practice facility and kidnapped Kyle Juszczyk to have him play fullback, because he's really the only one in the league at this point. And you know, but I just think the days of lead back, fullback, power running is kind of over. But then you watch that 4th and 1 play where they try to snap the ball to the belldozer, and everybody knows that it's going to be this tight end sneak because we don't run quarterback sneaks anymore.
Right.
That's kind of troubling. And Fortson was somebody that I thought was going to be able to take some of those fullback, potentially catch out of the backfield, Kimball Anders type of stuff. But yeah, I'm with you. The Fortson one's unfortunate. I mean, he's a guy that I think we're all rooting for. And you know, kind of like Clyde Edwards-Helaire, we were saying earlier, we've been rooting for him, and it just doesn't really look like it's going to work out. You know, I'm with you. I think Nico Remigio might have gotten the that might be something that could be a blessing in disguise. You know, his making the roster was up in the air. Him staying in the organization looks more clear, you know, at this point, and maybe he goes there. As for Justin Ross, it was Ian Rappaport that put it out, so you got to decide what you think about the info that you get from him. But he said this one doesn't appear to be serious. He should be okay. That seems like a good news type of thing to me. And I'm just thinking, you know, if you're running a guy who's been injured for 2 years, you get any sense of a situation where he's not perfect, you're taking him to the tent to stretch, you know. Normal roster play, you stand up, you bend over, you do your stretches, you're stretching your quads, your calves, your glutes, all that stuff. But you know, they took him and they said they were overstretching his hamstring and everything. So, you know, if there's that, and we saw him catch a touchdown pass, we've seen what we need. He makes the roster, goes into the regular season healthy. Maybe that's how this plays out. I mean, that's what that needs to be, because if not, that was you know, white snake, here we go again on my own. type of situation. Brian, what are your thoughts on the injuries?
All I think about is obviously this puts more pressure like on what kind of schemes they can put together if these injuries continue, and that puts more pressure on the kind of running the ball. But my mindset always goes to like just how goes back to Mahomes stuff. Like I always think about like whoever they bring up, whoever's in play. Like Mahomes has a way. Correct me if I'm wrong, but he has a way of getting greatness out of a lot of talented players out there. And you just, when you put the ball in his hands and he makes things happen, he can make, I mean, good players great players elite. And so that's what I look for. Like, okay, so if someone's, obviously we don't want injuries. We love seeing our production we've seen so far. But you know, you have a lot of hungry players out there who are up there waiting. You know, they want to win, they want to do good as a team. But it's like, okay, you're up. It's your turn. You got to get in there. You better believe they're going as hard as they can. And if Mahomes is doing what he does, it's fun to see what kind of production can happen in that situation. And it's fun to see players come out of a situation where like, you know, we weren't thinking about him as much. And now giving the elite level offense that we have here, like just seeing them come alive and really produce stuff. So I think it's as far as I can really think about that, because, you know, we're obviously in the first game of the preseason. Well, let's see how the injuries play out. But that's kind of where my head's at.
Yeah. No, I mean, what it really comes important is that you just make sure you have receivers that can run routes well. And so everything Dwayne was saying before about Richie James, that's really what he was pointing out. You know, he had good down the field speed. I remember watching a thing where it was I think it was like Larry Bird and Kevin McHale talking about how they would run the floor when they were playing, you know, in the Celtics in the 80s. And there was a line, and I think it was Kevin McHale talking about it, and just said, we didn't have any guys that were really fast, but we ran the floor well. And that's kind of what you're talking about. You don't have to be the fastest guy if you know how to, you know, use your body and your hips to like open up running lanes and to get a young cornerback to, you know, hitch for just a second, you can get open downfield. And if you manage to shift and open a route, you know, and open a throwing lane for the quarterback, you can make yourself, you know, better than you are. And if you have a guy like Patrick Mahomes that can put a ball through a needle point, then
Literally.
that's a way that he can elevate the guys around him. So yeah, I mean,
What a terrible
all the
football.
word on the street, McDuffie in
Nice football.
particular, apparently he wasn't getting in shape, but he was watching Justin or Sky Moore. He was watching Sky Moore work hard. So that's who he set
Really?
his eye on. Yeah. That was earlier in the in camp. McDuffie went on the record saying that Sky Moore is somebody that impressed him because he just seems like a different player, and it was clear that he was working over the off season. So if we have Rasheed Rice, Sky Moore, I'm with you on MVS. At some point, I think that guy's talented enough to have 1,000-yard season, and I'm inclined to believe it's going to be this one. There's
I
got
do
to
too.
be a veteran, and MVS probably never got any 1,000-yard seasons in
No.
Green Bay because Rodgers would throw him in his doghouse like consistently.
Yes. Yeah,
Consistently.
I think his highest numbers was 580 something or something like that.
It
And I
was
think
right
last
around
year,
600.
yeah, last year he was close to 700 as our wide receiver too. So yeah, I think this is going to be his first 1,000-yard season.
I'm looking up his stats because I need to know what this is. Yeah, 687 for us last year, 690 for the Packers in 2020, and
Okay.
then 581 was his number 3 his rookie year. But no, I mean Rogers is always kind of a weird guy to watch.
Yes, he is.
Devontae Adams was in his doghouse until he wasn't. Devontae Adams' nickname was Drop Vontae for at least a full season.
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden he just turned into this sure-handed receiver, and Rodgers just fed him the ball, fed him the ball, fed him the ball, and nobody was going to take those targets away. So all Valdez Scantling had to do in one game was just not catch a ball that Rodgers wanted him to, and he quit looking at him for the rest of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rogers is very narcissistic like that. I mean, he's just not going. But I think Mahomes is going to definitely. I think he's going to definitely target MVS more because I was really impressed with him against the whole Cincinnati Bengals. I do think that he was the main factor of us beating them. I mean, he caught some passes that I was like, wow. Did you see that? Like, it just looked like a superstar in the making,
Yeah, the entire postseason was an MVS showcase. So,
Yes,
hopefully we keep that going.
I hope so. I hope so.
All right, so real quick before we go into our final takes, what are you looking for in this second preseason game, Brian?
Just okay. So the last game, remember, like we're down like 17 points, right? And one thing I love about the game of football is like how long the game is in terms of like you can make adjustments and a lot of adjustments, and an average of 12 offensive drives per game and all that. And I love that, like how you can feel like down and out and really upset being down so much in the early going. But this game has a way of like, it's about like momentum. A lot of momentum can build. It's a long day. We can get down if you want, but we have a lot of game left to go. And it's like that's what I love about it is like it's like I don't get lost until I guess it's crunch time, right? So I'm looking more towards I'm looking for if we do get in situations where if we're up in the early going, I want to say, do we control that lead? How do we do that? What kind of schemes are putting together production to keep that going? If we're down, how do we handle that? So I guess I'm looking for more of a team mindset, team adjustment, how they're going to adjust to whatever adversity they have. So if the game plays out like that, I do like seeing how adjustments are made and who steps up, because now we do. I've watched enough Hard Knocks to know that a lot of these players are playing for jobs, and a lot of players are out there like this is my chance. I need someone to throw at me. I need to make a tackle or interception or something. Like, so you see like a lot of them like really going hard, and you're paying attention to those players. So I'm gonna look a little bit more who those players are and seeing what they're doing, because you get in there, like it's your chance. You're playing for a job, or you're playing for a look or some spot somewhere. You're on the stage. Let's see what you got. So I'll be looking for those kinds of players for this game.
Got it. Dwayne, what do you have your eye on for week
Me?
2?
I have my eye 100% on defense because I need to see more dominance on the defensive side of the ball, just in case we don't have a Chris Jones. So that the anticipation of Chris coming back. I mean, I want CJ 95 back as of yesterday, but sometimes we as fans, we don't get what we want. So I just want to see how the defensive line actually thrives without Chris Jones. And I want to see guys making plays. And preferably, I am real big on Keandre Coburn out of Texas, number 99. The guy is a dog. I was surprised that he fell all the way to the 6th round. And I'm just looking to see some dominance, see if he can fill some big, big shoes because he's listed to be, I think he's in the rotation to bag up Chris Jones. But if Chris ever gets traded, then the rookie has to be ready to go. So I need to see how he operates and how he moves. Also, I need to see Trent McDuffie revive himself because I like Trent. I like him a lot. But right now, Jalen Watson and Josh Williams, they're looking a clear cut above Trent McDuff, and McDuff is the 1st round draft pick out of those, a 4th round and a 7th round guy. So then I'm looking at L'Jarius Sneed. I know that we barely talk about him, but this contract year, and I'm looking for L'Jarius to really take the league by storm the way that Jalen Ramsey took the league in Jacksonville. So I'm looking to get one good, great production out of L'Jarius Sneed. And L'Jarius Sneed is literally one of my favorite corners in the entire NFL. It's just he has some health issues. But if I could just see him stay healthy and keep playing at that level of aggression, I'm gonna miss the guy, but I know that Veach is not gonna bring him back. He's gonna probably let him walk in free agency. So I say, if our defense, I'm a fan of Spagnuolo. I like Spags. Spags, he coached my brother Dwight at New York. I had a brother that played for the New York Giants. That's right up under me, and so he never really. Well, did he? Well, I think he did coach. I think he came one year when Derek was still playing for Kansas City. So I like Spags. Spags is old, as they call old money. He's old, but his way of coaching defense is great, and I'm just trying to see if he can do something with the next man up.
Got it. Yeah, I'm with you guys. I want to see a little pressure from that front four. Danny Shelton got a sack. I'd like to see him get more. I'd like to see our defensive ends pull something off. We get FAU or Karlaftis sack, or ideally one from each of those guys. That would be a nice thing to see in Arizona. But more than anything, I just want to see a little more polish on the defense. Let's not come out and make Derek Carr look like Tom Brady for a couple of drives.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, final takes. Dwayne, what do you got for us this week?
Well, final takes. I'm still working diligently with my college alma mater, Prairie View A&M University, and we're trying to get with Chiefs fans, and we're trying to launch a campaign to get Otis Taylor into the Hall of Fame. It's long overdue, and so I'm pretty excited about that because I hate that he didn't make it. But outside of that, just football, business as usual. Still out here selling houses and doing real estate. So it's picking up in Texas. So yeah, it's great. And I'm looking at my calendar and seeing which games I'm going to attend this year at Arrowhead. And I always like to attend 4 games. And so I'm just trying to say, and I kind of plan a good trip out of it because going to Arrowhead's like going home for me, because I mean, all while Derek played there from 05 to 2018 postseason. I lived in that thing, man, and the relationships that you make in the kingdom is like none other. So I am looking forward to getting back to Arrowhead and just seeing some things and drinking a nice cold one and rooting with the fans and just having a good one.
There you go. Well, I'm looking forward to that too. Yeah, let's pull the Arrowhead Kingdom guys in on that Otis Taylor thing. I think we've got some
Yes.
help with that there. Um, Brian, you got anything good this week for us?
Yeah, today was my 6-year-old son's first day of first grade.
All
So
right.
that was a big day. And a cool thing is over the summer, he discovered how much fun it is to play football.
Yeah.
So he finally took him out to the field and showed him how to hold the ball, the laces and the fingers right there, how you throw it and everything, and how to catch it and how to run routes. Just like he just wanted to like obviously just run and like as he sees on TV. And it was actually kind of funny because I'm not throwing it so much like this. I'm doing the thing where you throw it, kind of lobbing it in a spiral, like so he can catch it like that. But it kept on like when it hit his fingers, he'd like do the jam. His fingers would get jammed. And I go, buddy, that happens a lot in this game. There's a lot of jammed fingers. So you're going to have to, if you want to play this game, that's going to happen. You're going to have to get used to that. It's a lot of fun, but it's a lot of fun introducing him to that. And it's just it's really fun to see him light up. Like as soon as I took him out the first day to go play football, came back, settled down, and he comes back to me and just goes, "Can we go again tomorrow?" I'm like, "Of course we can. We'll go back tomorrow and play more football if you want." So happy first day of school to him. We got him a ball, and he even got him a little Chiefs helmet for his table and everything. So
Woo-hoo!
yeah, he is a fan. He loves watching the game with us, and a lot of fun. So yeah, back to school season. How about you, Josh?
Got it. All right. Well, I have a bit of a bummer that I'm going to talk about this week. So I've made it clear there's not a sport that I've met that I don't like. So I watch a ton of stuff. I went through a phase where I watched a ton of NASCAR. My favorite driver, guy named Jimmy Johnson. He's exactly 20 years older than Patrick Mahomes. They share a birthday.
Wow.
September 17th. Yeah, so that's pretty interesting. He's now one of the co-owners with Richard Petty for a racing team. So he's one of my three favorite athletes. Patrick Mahomes is one. My one that I have in the third is a guy named Harry Kane, who was the captain of the English national soccer team. And until recently, he was an academy guy and top goal scorer for Tottenham Hotspur, the English team that I watched. There have been discussions about him leaving the team for the better part of a decade. And it's always the Spurs are never going to win anything. That might be true. They haven't won a trophy. They haven't won the league since 1961. They haven't won a trophy since 1991. And when you get into what people that cover soccer for a living are like, I mean, it is just a total meat grinder. If you don't win a trophy if you don't win every trophy every year on teams like Real Madrid, they sell the entire team and just buy new players. And so the Spurs are kind of known in the Premier League as the team that's always going to be Cinderella, never getting it to the ball, always a bridesmaid, never a bride type of thing. They had one year where they took they almost won the league, but it's the year that Leicester City, who had been in the lower leagues a couple seasons before, finally did it. But throughout all of this, Harry Kane was the guy that was always the interesting player. He was chasing the Premier League goal record. He got the England national team goal record, all of that stuff. He was a Tottenham guy, grew up in the area. Well, the transfer finally happened this year and he went to play for Bayern Munich. So what I'm hoping is that he wins a couple of trophies. In Germany, Bayern Munich is pretty much penciled in to win that Bundesliga every single year. They're the biggest, baddest, highest spending team in that entire, league. So I'm hoping that he gets a league trophy. I'd love to see him go out and win a Champions League trophy and then come back and finish the job in England, fulfilled with Tottenham and, sign like a really long contract that he's never leaving. But for the time being, there's just watch the first game without him on the field this last weekend, and it's just a big spot that's missing. And already missing Harry Kane. Wish him the best. He didn't go play for Chelsea, Arsenal, or one of the Manchesters. So, I got to be happy about that he got out of the country, so I don't have to actively root against him on Saturdays and Sundays. But still, just bummed to see him gone. But wishing the best and now rooting from afar. So
I'll keep an eye out for that name in the headlines.
Yeah, for
yes,
sure.
me too.
All right. Well, and if you guys ever want to go down a really, really, really long, deep rabbit hole about soccer, block 2 hours off and we can talk.
All right. All right.
Awesome.
All right. Well, until next week, enjoy the shorts that we clip out of this. Enjoy the full episode. Enjoy if you're on our full digital, listening only podcast through Spotify by Anchor or Anchor by Spotify or whatever they actually call that. I don't know. It's the platform we put it on. And also make sure that you like, share, follow, all of that stuff. Keep up with us, and we'll see you next week. Go Chiefs.
Chiefs.